chance to win it. Final seconds, no fouls to give. Haliburton looking. Haliburton driving, pulls up, jump shot. It's good! It's good! With 0.3 of a second remaining. Timeout, OKC. Tyrese Haliburton does it again.
What's up, everyone, and welcome in to your Celtics source. Happy Monday after Game 2 of the NBA Finals last night. I thought this game showed exactly why the Thunder have been the best team all season long, and it really shined a light onto not really Haliburton's struggles per se, but some of his, offensive liabilities. Right? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Alex Caruso's big night. We'll talk about how SGA did a great job of facilitating, making plays for others early in the game, opposed to late when sort of, teammates are out of rhythm. But first, I want to quickly mention that we will be live tonight for another Celtics podcast episode, talking about a potential trade with the San Antonio Spurs, along with obviously some thoughts on this final series and maybe even some more talk on the New York Knicks and what their future is going to be like in the next couple of months, I would say. But we'll start with SGA, right? I really thought this was one of his best games of his career in terms of facilitating, right? He, in game one, right, there's a lot of iso ball, a lot of, putting up contested shots early in the game, right, and not getting his teammates involved, which then led to down the stretch when SGA was trying to get his teammates involved, it was sort of too little, too late. Guys were not involved. They missed some easy shots that had they been in rhythm all game long, maybe they would have hit. But he prioritized the team rhythm over hunting shots in this game right from the get-go, and that was huge for this team because OKC, they jumped from 13 assists in game one to 25 assists, largely due to SGA's playmaking, his improvement on some of these kickouts early in the game where he would drive and instead of sort of hanging around the rim and trying to put up a contested jumper over two Indiana Pacer defenders, he would stop and kick it out to an open three-point shooter, which I'm going to take, even if you're SGA MVP, one of the greatest playmaker scorers in the game right now, I would always take an open three over that contested fall away jumper. But, he consistently made reads off of these post-ups, these ball screens, right, using them to sort of generate kick-out threes instead of force his own offense, right, which we saw constantly in game one. But I really thought that he attacked mismatches really well in this game, right? In game one, he sort of just forced his way in and was like, yep, I'm better than you. I'm going to score either way. And it led to, 30 shots for only 38 points. So super inconsistent game, right? He only took 15 shots in this one. So a much more sort of thought out attack. And it came from attacking mismatches like Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin in the post, right? And using them as a threat of scoring rather than score himself, right? He sort of made all the Pacers defenders collapse, and then that allowed really easy threes. But his improved decision making from game one, it allowed Chet Holmgren, Andrew Wiggins, Alex Caruso to get involved, right? We saw this, as I mentioned just a couple seconds ago, right? You have to get in rhythm early in the game to be able to then make shots under pressure, right? And if you haven't had the rhythm all game, there's no way you're expected to make shots one after another down the stretch in crunch time, right? There's very few players that just have that knack to be able to turn it on in crunch time. Tyrese Haliburton's definitely one of them. But for most role players, even if you're a star, you have to have a rhythm throughout the game to make these shots, right? And I thought SJ's leadership, delivering a must-win game by, elevating all of his teammates, which is what stars should do. And, we'll talk about Tyrese Haliburton in a second. He definitely does that. He does it a very different way than SGA does it, which I think can cause problems for Tyrese Haliburton, which we'll talk about in a second. But Shea, he's one of the oldest players on this team, or at least I don't know if he's the oldest for se, but he's the star of this team, and he's older than some of the other young stars coming up in Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, right? And so I thought his leadership, getting other guys involved, really helped this team um, basically bounce back after a pretty bad collapse in Game One. Um, but as for Halliburton, we'll talk about his performance right now. He, as I'm here's my notes. You know, he struggles against, athletic defenders and guys like Lu Dort or against double teams, right? And Shay's way to do that is, you know, drive when he's on his game. Shay's way is either drive in, get past them, and score because he's just an elite scorer, or use it as a way to kick it out and get other guys involved, which he did for the first half of tonight's game. But Tyrese Haliburton, when he sees a double team or an elite defender, as in like Lu Dort, even if it's just a single coverage, his first instinct is to pass it up, right? Get other guys involved really early before they've even run a possession, and I think that really hurts him because Tyrese Haliburton, right? He doesn't have the athleticism, uh, the physicality to just score on double teams. He's not a great scorer, right? He's maybe 30th in the league, right, which is not close to some of the elite 30-point a night scorers that we have in this league. But he has to make it a threat that he's going to score in order to get his teammates involved because his teammates went cold, and late in this game, they needed his help to score the ball, and he, just didn't have anything because he would just pass it up and continue to force those sort of not bad shots. They were pretty good shots, but his teammates were cold and they weren't making them. And sometimes you just need a bucket from your star player. And so I think if Halliburton wants to become a top 10 player in this league, he has to, you know, lean a little bit more heavy into his scoring, right? I talked about this a couple nights ago after game one, right? The Thunder are very well in game one. The Thunder were very heliocentric around SGA, and it didn't work. And in this game, the Pacers were not enough heliocentric around Tyrese Haliburton, right? He, he defaults to that playmaking, which it's great, but if he is giving it up before they've even run a play, like it's so easy for the Oklahoma City Thunder defenders to get back and defend, right? You have to set some screens, get him open. I think he needs to work on his 3-point shot a little bit better. Sort of, can he shoot on a catch and shoot shot instead of off the dribble, right? Because, maybe they set some screens and he can get open and take some shots that way if he's not able to get into the paint, right? But he just needs to become more aggressive, right? As this game opened up, the defensive pressure dropped from OKC and he started to score late in the game, but it was not by his force. It was just by, him, OKC knowing they had won the game and loosening up a little bit, right? And he has to get more involved early. I keep sort of hammering this point, but like he's not built to take 25, 30 shots a night like some of the elite scores. But if he can take, 15 to 18 shots, score 10 more points than he has been scoring, that allows him to, use his threat of scoring to get other guys open, right? He's one of these players that when he averages like 20 or so points, his assists go up as well, right? He'll average like 22 points and like 13 assists, something like that when he's on his game. But when his scoring goes down, his assist numbers go down. He's not able to sort of separate the two, which is often the case with a lot of players, right? If your threat of scoring is there, then obviously they're going to sort of lean into you scoring, trying to stop that, and which allows you to kick the ball out and get other guys involved. But when you're giving the ball up before you've even become a threat of scoring, right? You're eliminating both, right? You're not getting your scoring numbers, and you're not getting your playmaking, your assist numbers, because OKC can read it right off the tongue. But I would compare him maybe to a guy like Steve Nash. More of a sort of pass heavy engine than a physical scorer, right? His Tyrese Haliburton's success uh, basically depends on his team execution rather than himself, right? And a lot of these playmakers, right? It doesn't matter whether your team has it going or not. You're still going to get your numbers, and it just doesn't feel like Tyrese Haliburton is wired that way. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Keep it short. Obviously, we will be live tonight for a much longer video podcast episode, obviously, which we'll talk about the Celtics trade. We'll talk about actually, before I wrap this up, I want to quickly talk about Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso, in game one, the Pacers got a lot of points off their bench. Guys like Obi Toppin, guys like obviously, what's the name of the small guard? Why am I blanking on his name? What's his name? TJ McConnell, that's right. Right, they got lots of points off the bench, and the Thunder, while SGA got his numbers inefficiently, you didn't get the numbers from Chet, you didn't get the numbers from Jalen Williams, right? They didn't get that production off their bench in game one. And in this game, I thought, Alex Caruso, he's a great defender. And then when you're getting the offense as well, the 3 and D, which those players are known for, it's such a huge bonus, right? You have the number one player, you have the top 3 players, like I mentioned, right? Because Chet and Jalen Williams had great games with the help of Shai's playmaking, right? And then you get that production off the bench while the Pacers are sort of going cold and the 2 stars can't get it going. That is just so huge, right? Like, I believe, I don't have the exact math here, but I think Alex Caruso outscored the Pacers bench, which is so rare because the Pacers bench is known for having a huge offensive role. Right? The Pacers rely on their bench. They play 10 deep. Both teams play 10 deep, but the Thunder play 10 deep for their defense. The Pacers play 10 deep for their offense, and that's largely due to Tyrese Haliburton's, sort of quiet offensive production a lot of nights in terms of raw scoring numbers. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow on social media. We have content every day on the finals, on trades, on Celtics news. Obviously, we'll have it all summer. We will go live any day that there is breaking news, either a big news across the league, big trade or something across the league, or any Celtics trade or signing. But yeah, we'll be live tonight, and until next time, go Pacers.
It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible. Banner number 18 has been secured.